The letter from the law firm arrived on a Tuesday in March, forwarded from my old apartment in Chicago to my current place in Denver. Dear Mr. Hollis Pierce, regarding the estate of Evelyn Margaret Whitmore. I stared at the name. Evelyn Whitmore, my grandmother, my father's mother, who I hadn't seen since I was 12 years old, before the family falling out that had split the Whitmore clan into warring factions. She died 3 months ago, according to the letter. No one had told me. No one had invited me to the funeral. But apparently, she'd left me something in her will. A beach house in Montauk, New York. The old family property where we'd spent summers when I was a kid, before everything fell apart. I'm Hollis Pierce, 30 years old, and I work as a renewable energy consultant. I'd built a life in Denver specifically because it was as far from my family as I could get while still staying in the continental United States. The thought of going back to Montauk, to that house filled with childhood memories and family drama, made me want to throw the letter away. But a beach house in Montauk, that was worth at least $2 million, probably more. I could sell it, use the money to start my own consulting firm, finally be my own boss. I called the law firm, Pierce & Associates. How may I direct your call? A receptionist answered. I'm calling about the Whitmore estate. I received a letter about an inheritance. I said. One moment, I'll transfer you to Mr. Gerald Pierce. He's handling that case, she said. Pierce, same last name as mine. Probably a coincidence. This is Gerald Pierce, a man's voice said.
I'm Hollis Pierce.
I received a letter about inheriting property from Evelyn Whitmore. I said. Ah yes, Mr. Pierce. Thank you for calling. I need to inform you of a complication with the inheritance, he said. My stomach sank. What kind of complication? The Montauk property was left to 2 beneficiaries. You inherited it from Evelyn Whitmore, and another party inherited the same property from her brother, Theodore Whitmore, who passed away 2 weeks after Evelyn. The wills were written independently, years apart. Neither party knew the other had left the property to someone, Gerald explained. So someone else thinks they own the same house? I asked. Correct. Her name is Sutton Reeves. She inherited from Theodore Whitmore, who was her great-uncle. We've contacted both of you because this needs to be resolved. You can't both own the same property, he said. What are the options? I asked. You can agree to sell and split the proceeds. One of you can buy out the other, or you can work out some kind of co-ownership arrangement. But legally, you'll need to come to an agreement, he explained. And if we can't agree? I asked. Then it goes to court and a judge decides, which could take years and cost both of you significant legal fees. I'd strongly advise you to try to work it out between yourselves first, he said. When can I meet this Sutton Reeves? I asked. She's driving out to the property this weekend to assess it. I can give you her contact information, or you could meet her there. The property is currently vacant, he said. Give me her number. I'll reach out, I said. After I hung up, I stared at the contact information Gerald had emailed me. Sutton Reeves. A New York City area code. I should call her. Try to negotiate like rational adults. But something made me hesitate. Something about the way Gerald had described the situation made me think this wasn't going to be simple. I decided to drive to Montauk instead. Meet her in person. See the house again after all these years. It was a 20-hour drive from Denver to Montauk. I took a week off work and left on Thursday morning, driving straight through with only stops for gas and bad coffee. I arrived in Montauk late Friday evening. The town had changed. More developed, more tourist-focused than I remembered. But as I drove down the familiar road toward the beach house, memories came flooding back. Summer days building sandcastles. My grandmother teaching me to fish off the dock. Family dinners on the wraparound porch. Before the fight. Before my father stopped speaking to his siblings. Before everything fell apart. The house appeared around a curve in the road, exactly as I remembered it. A sprawling 2-story beach house with weathered shingles, a wraparound porch, and a private dock extending into the bay. The lawn was overgrown, the paint was peeling, but the bones of the house were still solid. There was a car in the driveway, a silver sedan with New York plates. Sutton was already here. I parked behind her car and got out. The front door was open. I could hear movement inside. Hello, I called out, stepping onto the porch. In here, a woman's voice called back. I walked through the front door into the living room. The furniture was covered with white sheets. Dust motes floated in the evening light streaming through the windows. A woman emerged from the kitchen. Late 20s, tall and athletic, with long dark hair pulled back in a ponytail and sharp gray eyes that assessed me immediately. You must be Hollis, she said. It wasn't a question. And you're Sutton, I said. Sutton Reeves. Though I guess you already knew that, she said, not offering her hand. I thought you were coming tomorrow, I said. I drove out early. Wanted to see the place before having to deal with. She gestured at me. This situation being me, I said. Being the fact that we both apparently own the same house. Which is impossible and inconvenient, she said. Agreed on both counts, I said. We stood there in the dusty living room, sizing each other up. So what's your plan? She asked. Buy me out? Sell and split the money? Fight me in court for years? I haven't decided yet. I just got here. What's your plan? I countered. Keep the house. I'm not interested in selling. This property has been in my family for 3 generations. My great-uncle Theodore helped build this place with his own hands. I'm not letting it go to a stranger, she said. I'm not a stranger. I'm Evelyn's grandson. I spent every summer here until I was 12. I have just as much family connection to this place as you do, I said. Then why haven't you been here in 18 years? If it meant so much to you, where were you when Evelyn was dying alone? Where were you at her funeral? She challenged. That's none of your business. My relationship with my grandmother is complicated, I said. Complicated, right? Let me guess. Family drama, you took sides, stopped visiting. Classic Whitmore family dysfunction, she said. You don't know anything about me, I said. I know you abandoned your grandmother for almost 2 decades, and now you're here trying to claim property you don't deserve, she said. I didn't abandon anyone, and I deserve this house as much as you do. Evelyn left it to me in her will. That's not up for debate, I said. Neither is the fact that Theodore left it to me. So we're at an impasse, she said. Then I guess we need to figure out how to resolve it, I said. I already told you my position. I'm keeping the house. If you want to be bought out, name your price. Otherwise, I'll see you in court, she said. I'm not interested in being bought out. And I'm not interested in a legal battle that'll cost us both a fortune and take years. So we need to find another solution, I said. What do you suggest? She asked, crossing her arms. We could co-own it. Split the time. You use it some months, I use it other months, I suggested. That's ridiculous. What if we both want to use it at the same time? What if one of us wants to renovate? Make changes? We'd have to agree on everything. It would be a nightmare, she said. You have a better idea? I challenged. Yes, you walk away. Let me have the house. I'll pay you fair market value for your share. Everyone wins, she said. Except I want to keep the house too. This place means something to me, whether you believe it or not, I said. Then we have a problem, she said. We stared at each other, neither willing to back down. It's getting late. I'm staying here tonight. In the master bedroom, she announced, heading toward the stairs. I'm staying too. I'll take one of the other bedrooms, I said. She paused on the stairs. Fine, but don't touch anything. And stay out of my way. Same to you, I said. She disappeared upstairs. I heard a door close firmly. I looked around the living room, at the covered furniture and dusty surfaces. The house felt empty despite 2 people being in it. Lonely, like it was waiting for something. I grabbed my bag from the car and claimed the bedroom that used to be mine as a kid. The furniture was different, but the view was the same. Overlooking the bay, the dock, the beach beyond. I lay on the bed, staring at the ceiling, and wondered what the hell I'd gotten myself into. Downstairs, I heard Sutton moving around, opening cabinets, running water, making herself at home in our disputed property. This was going to be complicated. I woke up to the smell of coffee and the sound of cabinets slamming. I went downstairs to find Sutton in the kitchen, going through every drawer and cabinet with determined efficiency. Morning, I said. She barely glanced at me. There's coffee if you want it, but you'll need to use a mug from the car. Everything here is too gross to drink from without a serious cleaning. Thanks for the warning, I said. I poured coffee into a travel mug I'd brought and leaned against the counter, watching her systematically inventory the kitchen. What are you doing? I asked. Making a list of everything that needs to be repaired, cleaned, or replaced. This place has been vacant for months. It's a disaster, she said. Evelyn died 3 months ago. The house can't have deteriorated that much, I pointed out. Theodore died 5 months ago. He was the last person living here full-time. Evelyn was in assisted living for the past 2 years. So the house has been empty for at least 5 months, possibly longer. Look at this, she said, pointing to water damage on the ceiling. That's a roof leak. Could be thousands of dollars to fix. Or a few hundred if it's just some shingles, I said. Are you a contractor? She asked.
No.
Are you? I countered. I'm a project manager. I know how to assess property damage and estimate repair costs, she said. Of course you are, I muttered. What's that supposed to mean? She asked, turning to face me. Nothing. Just that you seem like the type who needs to control everything, I said. And you seem like the type who shows up after 18 years expecting everything to be handed to you, she shot back. I didn't expect anything. I got a letter saying I inherited property. I came to see it. That's all, I said. Right? And now that you're here, you're planning to fight me for it. Very noble, she said. You're the one who won't even consider sharing the property. I suggested co-ownership. You shot it down immediately, I said. Because co-ownership is a terrible idea. We're strangers. We clearly don't like each other. How would we ever make joint decisions about this place? She asked. We'd figure it out. People co-own property all the time, I said. People who are married or business partners or family members who actually get along. We're none of those things, she said. We're technically family. Evelyn and Theodore were siblings. That makes us... What? Second cousins? Third cousins, I said. Distant enough that we owe each other nothing, she said. She had a point, but I wasn't ready to concede the house. What if we both stayed here for a week, got to know each other, tried to work out a compromise? I suggested. You want us to live together? Here? For a week? She asked, incredulous. Not live together. Stay in the same house while we figure this out. It's big enough. 6 bedrooms, 4 bathrooms. We can stay out of each other's way, I said. Why would I agree to that? She asked. Because the alternative is lawyers and court battles and years of fighting. And in the meantime, this house continues to deteriorate because neither of us can make decisions about repairs or maintenance. A week. If we can't work something out, we go our separate ways and let the lawyers handle it, I said. She considered this arms-crossed expression skeptical. 1 week. We both assess the property, figure out what it would take to maintain it, and try to come to an agreement. If we can't, I'm hiring a lawyer and fighting you for sole ownership, she said. Deal, I said, extending my hand. She looked at my hand like it might bite her, then shook it briefly. Her grip was firm and cold. I'm going to finish my assessment. Stay out of my way, she said, returning to her clipboard and notes. I need to do my own assessment, so we'll probably run into each other, I said. Fine. Just don't touch anything without asking me first, she said. This is my house too. I don't need your permission to touch things, I said. Technically, it's neither of ours until we resolve the inheritance issue. So we both need to be careful about what we do here, she said. She was right, but I hated that she was right. I spent the morning walking through the house, room by room, taking photos, making notes, remembering. The living room where we'd played board games during rainy days. The kitchen where Evelyn had taught me to make her famous blueberry pie. The porch where the whole family would gather for dinners, back when the whole family still spoke to each other. In my old bedroom, I found something that made me stop. Carved into the windowsill, barely visible, were initials. HP plus EW. I carved those when I was 10.
Hollis Pierce plus Evelyn Whitmore.
My grandmother and me. I ran my fingers over the carved letters, feeling a rush of emotion I hadn't expected. Find something interesting? I turned to see Sutton in the doorway. Just memories, I said, moving away from the window. She walked in, looked around the room. This was your room? When you were a kid? Yeah. How did you know? I asked. Theodore mentioned it once. Said Evelyn's grandson always took the room with the bay view. She said. Theodore talked about me? I asked, surprised. Once or twice. He and Evelyn stayed close even after the family split. He'd mention you sometimes. Said Evelyn missed you. She said. The guilt hit hard. I wanted to visit. I did. But my father... It's complicated. You said that already. Complicated. What does that even mean? She asked. I sighed. My father and his siblings had a falling out over Theodore and Evelyn's care. Who should pay for what, who should make medical decisions, all the usual family drama over aging parents. It got ugly. Lawsuits, accusations, people taking sides. My father cut off contact with everyone. Forbid me from seeing Evelyn or Theodore. By the time I was old enough to make my own decisions, it had been so long, I didn't know how to bridge that gap. So you just never tried, she said. I tried once. When I was 22, I called Evelyn. She was cold, distant, said I'd made my choice years ago by staying away. It hurt, so I didn't try again, I admitted. Sutton was quiet for a moment. Theodore told me about that call. Said Evelyn cried for days after. She wasn't cold because she didn't care. She was cold because she was protecting herself from being hurt again. She thought you'd abandoned her. I didn't abandon her. I was a kid caught in the middle of adult drama. I said. I know. But from her perspective, you chose your father over her. That's how it looked, she said. And what about you? What's your story? How did you end up inheriting from Theodore? I asked, changing the subject. Theodore was my grandmother's brother. My grandmother died when I was young. Theodore stepped up, helped my mom raise me after my dad left. He was basically my grandfather. I visited him here every summer, helped him maintain the place. When he got sick last year, I moved back to New York to take care of him. I was with him when he died, she said. I'm sorry, I said. He was 93. He lived a good long life. But I miss him. This house. It's all I have left of him. That's why I can't just walk away from it, she said. I understood that, because I felt the same way about Evelyn, despite the years of distance between us. What if we're both right? I said. What if we both deserve to keep this house? Then we're back to the original problem. 2 people, 1 house. No easy solution, she said. Maybe there isn't an easy solution. Maybe we have to figure out the hard one, I said. And what would that be? She asked. I don't know yet, but we have a week to figure it out, I said. She nodded. A week. Then we decide. She left the room, leaving me alone with my carved initials and my complicated feelings about family and inheritance and a house that held too many memories. This was going to be the longest week of my life. Day 2 of our awkward cohabitation started with a fight over the thermostat. It's freezing in here, Sutton said, turning up the heat. It's 68 degrees. That's perfectly comfortable, I said, turning it back down. I'm from New York. 68 is cold, she said. I live in Denver. 68 is warm, I countered. We stood in front of the thermostat, both refusing to back down. This is ridiculous. We're adults fighting over temperature control, she finally said. Agreed. So let's compromise. 70 degrees, I suggested. Fine. 70, she conceded. Small victory, but it felt significant. Over breakfast, which we ate separately, her in the kitchen, me on the porch, I started making my own list of repairs needed. The roof leak Sutton had found. Rotting boards on the dock. Peeling paint throughout. Outdated electrical wiring. Ancient plumbing. The list grew longer with every room I inspected. This is going to cost a fortune to fix, I muttered to myself. At least 60,000. Probably closer to 80, Sutton said from the doorway. I hadn't heard her approach. You've estimated costs already? I told you I'm a project manager. This is what I do. I've identified 17 major issues and countless minor ones. If we want to maintain this property, we need significant capital investment, she said. Neither of us has that kind of money just lying around. I'm assuming, I said. I don't. Do you? she asked.
No.
Which means if we keep it, we need to either take out a loan or find a way to generate income from the property. I said. What, like renting it out? She asked. Maybe. Montauk is a huge vacation destination. A beach house like this could rent for serious money during the summer season. I said. And who would manage that? Who would deal with guests, maintenance, cleaning, all the logistics? She asked. We could hire a property management company, I suggested, which would eat into profits. Plus, we'd still need money up front for the repairs before we could rent it out. She said. She was right. Every solution led to more problems. What about selling? I asked. I know you said you don't want to, but realistically, selling and splitting the proceeds might be the smartest option. For you, maybe, you'd take your share and go back to Denver. But I live in New York. This house is an hour and a half from the city. It's the only place I have that feels like home. If I sell, I lose that, she said. So buy me out. Use the rental income idea to secure a loan, pay me my share, and you keep the house, I said. I can't qualify for a loan that big on my salary alone. Not without selling my apartment, and I can't do that. I need somewhere to live when I'm not here, she said, frustration clear in her voice. We were stuck. Every option required money neither of us had or sacrifices neither of us wanted to make. There has to be another way, I said. If there is, I haven't found it, she said. The rest of the day we worked separately. She continued her detailed assessment. I started cleaning out the garage, finding old family belongings that had been stored for decades. Photo albums, old furniture, fishing equipment, boxes of papers and documents. In one box I found letters, dozens of them, correspondence between Evelyn and Theodore from over the years. I shouldn't have read them. They were private. But curiosity got the better of me. The letters painted a picture of two siblings who deeply loved each other despite their other siblings causing drama, who supported each other through aging, illness, loneliness, who worried about the younger generations inheriting their mess. One letter from Evelyn to Theodore, dated 2 years ago, made me stop cold. I know we should sell the beach house. It's too big for either of us now, and the upkeep is getting expensive. But Theodore, I can't let it go. It's all we have left of the family before everything fell apart. I keep hoping that someday, the grandchildren will find their way back. That maybe Hollis or Sutton or one of the others will want to keep this place alive. Is that foolish? Probably. But I'm an old woman. Let me have my foolish hopes. Sutton. Evelyn had mentioned Sutton by name. She'd hoped we'd both find our way back. What are you reading? I looked up to find Sutton standing in the garage doorway. Letters. Between Evelyn and Theodore. I found them in this box, I said, gesturing. Are they private? She asked. Probably. But you should read this one, I said, handing her the letter. She read it, her expression softening. She wanted us both to have the house. That's why they both left it to us. They hoped we'd figure out how to share it. Or they both thought they were leaving it to one person and didn't communicate with each other. I said. Maybe. But read this part again. I keep hoping that someday, the grandchildren will find their way back. That maybe Hollis or Sutton or one of the others will want to keep this place alive. She's literally naming both of us. In a letter to Theodore, who also left the house to me. They knew Hollis. They knew what they were doing, she said. I reread the letter. She was right. This wasn't a mistake. It was intentional. They wanted us to figure this out together, I said slowly. Apparently, but they didn't leave us any instructions on how to do that, she said. We spent the rest of the afternoon going through more of the boxes, finding more letters, more photos, more evidence that Evelyn and Theodore had carefully orchestrated this situation. Look at this, Sutton said, holding up a photo. It was from a family reunion probably 25 years ago. The whole Whitmore family gathered on the beach in front of this house. Evelyn and Theodore in the center, surrounded by their siblings, children, grandchildren. I was in that photo, a toddler being held by Evelyn. And Sutton was there too, a baby in Theodore's arms. We were here together, before everything fell apart, Sutton said. We don't remember each other, but we've been connected to this place our whole lives, I said. They wanted to bring the family back together. That's what this is about. Not just the house. Finding our way back to each other, she said. That's a lot of pressure to put on two strangers who happen to be distant cousins. I said. Third cousins, I looked it up, she said absently, still staring at the photo. Still strangers, I pointed out. Are we though? We share DNA. We share this house. We share memories of Evelyn and Theodore. We're not as disconnected as we think, she said. That evening we made dinner together for the first time. Nothing fancy, just pasta and sauce from the groceries we'd both brought. We ate on the porch, watching the sunset over the bay. I haven't been here for a sunset in years, Sutton said quietly. Theodore and I used to sit here every evening when I'd visit. He'd tell stories about the old days, about the family before all the drama. Evelyn used to do the same with me. Tell me about her childhood, about meeting my grandfather, about building this house with Theodore. I said. Did she ever tell you about the summer of '67? Sutton asked. When the hurricane hit. Yeah. She said they rode it out in the house. The whole family. No power for a week, but they all survived. I said. Theodore said it was the last time everyone got along. After that, things started falling apart. Arguments over money, over inheritance, over who contributed what. By the time our parents' generation was adults, the family was basically fractured, Sutton said. And here we are, two members of the broken family, trying to figure out what to do with the last piece of common ground. I said. Poetic, she said dryly. Or tragic, I countered. We sat in silence for a while, listening to the waves. What if we actually tried it? Sutton said suddenly. Tried what? I asked. Co-ownership. Real co-ownership. Not just splitting time, but actually jointly managing the property. Making it work, she said. You said that was a terrible idea yesterday. I reminded her. I did, but that was before I read Evelyn's letters. Before I understood what they wanted. Maybe we owe it to them to at least try, she said. That would mean spending a lot of time together, making joint decisions, potentially moving back here to manage the property if we want to rent it out. I said. I know, it's complicated, but maybe that's the point. Maybe they wanted to force us to deal with the complications instead of taking the easy way out, she said. I thought about it. Thought about leaving Denver, about coming back to New York, about tying my life to this house and to Sutton. I'd have to relocate my whole life. My job is in Denver, I said. You said you're a renewable energy consultant. Can't you do that anywhere? She asked. Theoretically, but my clients are in Denver. I'd have to rebuild my client base, I said. Or you could start that consulting firm you mentioned. Use your share of rental income to fund it, she suggested. You remembered that? I asked, surprised. I pay attention, even when I'm pretending not to like you, she said with a slight smile. Are you pretending not to like me? Or do you actually not like me? I asked. Jury's still out. Ask me again in a few days, she said. Over the next few days, we fell into a routine. Mornings we'd work on the house, cleaning, minor repairs, documenting everything. Afternoons we'd explore the property, the beach, the town. Evenings we'd have dinner together and talk. We talked about everything. Our jobs, our lives, our families. The conversation flowed easier than I expected. I always wanted siblings, Sutton admitted one evening. We were fishing off the dock, something Theodore had apparently taught her just like Evelyn had taught me. I am an only child too. It was lonely sometimes, I said, especially when family drama meant you couldn't even see your cousins or extended family, she said. Exactly. I used to wonder what it would be like to have a big family gathering. People who actually wanted to be around each other. I said. Theodore used to say that family isn't about blood. It's about who shows up, who stays, who chooses you, she said. That's a good philosophy, I said. He lived it. He wasn't my biological grandfather, but he chose to be my grandfather anyway. That meant more than biology, she said. We caught 3 fish that evening. Cooked them for dinner. It was the best meal I'd had in years. You're not terrible company, Sutton said as we cleaned up. High praise, I said sarcastically. I'm serious. When Gerald first told me I'd be sharing ownership with someone, I was dreading it. But this week, it's been nice. Having someone to share this place with, she said. It has been nice, I agreed. That night I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about Sutton's suggestion of real co-ownership, of what it would mean to move back to New York, to tie my life to this house, to partner with someone I'd known for less than a week. It was crazy, impractical, risky. It was also exactly what Evelyn and Theodore had hoped for. Around midnight, I heard footsteps on the porch. I looked out my window and saw Sutton sitting on the porch swing, wrapped in a blanket. I went downstairs and joined her. Couldn't sleep? I asked. Too much thinking, she said. Same, I admitted. I keep running the numbers in my head. What it would cost to fix this place up. What we could charge for rentals. Whether we could actually make it work financially, she said. And, I asked. And, I think we could. If we both committed to it. If we pooled our resources and actually worked as partners. We could turn this place into something sustainable. Something that generates enough income to maintain itself and maybe even profit, she said. You've thought this through, I said. I spent 3 hours building a spreadsheet. Want to see it? She asked, pulling out her phone. She showed me detailed projections. Repair costs, estimated rental income, property management fees, profit margins. She'd thought of everything. This could actually work, I said, studying her numbers. It could, but it requires both of us to be all in. Half measures won't cut it. We'd need to commit to this, to the house, to each other in a business partner sense, she said. That's a big ask. We barely know each other, I pointed out. I know, but Hollis, I have a good feeling about this. About you. I think we could actually pull this off, she said. I wanted to believe her. Wanted to believe that two virtual strangers could make this crazy plan work. Let me think about it. Sleep on it. We can talk in the morning, I said. Okay, but just so you know, I'm leaning toward yes. Even if it's insane, she said. It is definitely insane, I agreed. The best things usually are, she said. I went back to bed but still couldn't sleep. My mind was racing with possibilities, with risks, with the sheer audacity of what Sutton was proposing. By morning, I'd made my decision. But before I could tell Sutton, everything fell apart. I found Sutton in the kitchen the next morning, on the phone. Her face was pale, her expression stricken. I understand. Thank you for letting me know, she said, hanging up. What's wrong? I asked immediately. That was Gerald, the lawyer. There's been a complication with the inheritance, she said, her voice shaking. What kind of complication? I asked. Evelyn and Theodore's other siblings. They're contesting the wills. All of them. They're claiming that Evelyn and Theodore were mentally incompetent when they made the bequests. That we manipulated them into leaving us the property, she explained. That's insane. We hadn't seen them in years. How could we manipulate them? I said. They don't care about logic. They care about money. This property is worth millions. They want their share, she said. Can they actually do this? Can they contest the wills? I asked. Apparently yes. Gerald says it'll tie up the estate for months, maybe years. We can't do anything with the property until it's resolved. Can't sell, can't rent, can't even make major repairs without court approval, she said. All our plans, all our conversations about co-ownership and rental income and making this work, suddenly impossible. So we just wait? While the house continues to deteriorate? I asked. Looks like it, unless we want to fight them in court, which would cost us both a fortune in legal fees, she said. This is exactly what Evelyn and Theodore didn't want. The family fighting over property. Lawyers and courts and everyone at each other's throats. I said. I know, but I don't know how to stop it, she said, sinking into a chair. I could see she was close to tears. This house meant everything to her. And now it was being ripped away by greedy relatives who'd never cared about it before. We'll figure this out, I said. How? We're up against 3 different families with resources we don't have. They can afford to drag this out. We can't, she said. Then we don't play their game. We find another way, I said. What other way? She asked. I don't know yet, but there has to be something, I said. Over the next few days, we met with Gerald and with lawyers Sutton hired. The news wasn't good. The relatives claiming incompetence have medical records showing Evelyn had early-stage dementia. Theodore had been diagnosed with mild cognitive impairment. A judge could rule that they weren't capable of making sound decisions about their property, Gerald explained. But their wills were made years ago before any diagnosis, I pointed out. Evelyn's was. Theodore's will was updated 8 months ago, after his diagnosis. That's going to be harder to defend, Gerald said. So we're going to lose, Sutton said flatly. Not necessarily, but you need to be prepared for a long legal battle. And the possibility that the court could invalidate both wills and divide the property among all the heirs, which would mean selling it and splitting the proceeds, Gerald said. Sutton stood up abruptly. I need air. She walked out of the office. I followed her. She was standing on the sidewalk, arms wrapped around herself, looking like she was holding back tears. Sutton, I started. I can't lose this house, Hollis. It's all I have left of Theodore, of that part of my family. If they force a sale, it'll go to some developer who'll tear it down and build condos. Everything Evelyn and Theodore wanted, everything they built, gone, she said. We won't let that happen, I said. How can you promise that? You heard Gerald. We're fighting a losing battle, she said. Then we fight anyway, because it's what they would have wanted. Because it's the right thing to do, I said. She looked at me with red-rimmed eyes. Why do you care? You could walk away from this. Take whatever settlement they offer and go back to Denver. You don't owe this house anything. Maybe not, but I owe Evelyn. She left me this property hoping I'd come back. Hoping I'd reconnect with the family. I can't honor that by walking away when things get hard, I said. So what do we do? She asked. We talk to the relatives. Try to negotiate. See if there's a way to resolve this without court, I suggested. You think they'll listen? She asked skeptically. It's worth a try. What's the worst that can happen? They say no and we're back where we started, I said. Sutton set up a family meeting. It took 2 weeks to coordinate, but eventually all the contesting relatives agreed to meet at a neutral location. A conference room at a hotel in Manhattan. There were 6 of them. Evelyn's other son, Robert, and his wife. Theodore's daughter, Patricia, and her husband. And 2 of Evelyn and Theodore's cousins who claimed they'd been promised the property years ago. Thank you all for coming, Sutton started. We wanted to meet face to face to discuss the situation with the Montauk property. There's nothing to discuss. Evelyn and Theodore were incompetent when they made those wills. The property should be divided among all the heirs equally, Robert said immediately. They weren't incompetent. They were old, yes, but they knew exactly what they were doing, I said. You weren't there. You abandoned Evelyn 18 years ago. You don't get to show up now and claim to know what she wanted, Robert said. Neither were you. When was the last time you visited her? When she was in assisted living, dying alone, I countered. Don't you dare, Robert started. Enough, Patricia interrupted. Fighting isn't going to solve anything. Hollis, Sutton, we understand the property has sentimental value to you, but it has value to all of us. Our parents built that house. We all have memories there. Then visit. We're not saying you can't visit. We're saying the property should be managed by the people Evelyn and Theodore chose. The people who will actually take care of it, Sutton said. And who's going to pay for that care? The house needs extensive repairs. Are you two planning to foot that bill? One of the cousins asked. We have a plan. We're going to turn it into a rental property. Generate income that covers maintenance and repairs, I explained. A rental property? You're going to turn our family home into a vacation rental for strangers, Robert said, outraged. As opposed to selling it to a developer who'll tear it down? Yes, Sutton said. There's another option, Patricia said. We sell it to someone who'll preserve it. There are historical preservation societies that buy properties like this. They maintain them, open them for tours, keep the history alive. And we all split the proceeds, Robert added. Sutton and I exchanged a look. That was actually not a terrible option. Better than it being torn down. But it still meant losing the property. What if we bought you out? I said suddenly. Sutton and I pool our resources, take out a loan, and buy out your shares. You get money, we keep the house. How much money? One of the cousins asked. Fair market value for your portions. The house is worth about $3 million. There are 8 potential heirs. You 5 would split 5/8 of that. About 1.875 million divided 5 ways. That's $375,000 each, I said, doing the math quickly. And where are you getting $1.875 million? Robert asked skeptically. We'll figure it out. Bank loans, investors, whatever we need to do, I said. This is ridiculous. You're two people barely out of your 20s trying to keep a multi-million-dollar property. You'll fail. You'll default on loans. The property will go into foreclosure. We'd rather sell now and get our money guaranteed, Robert said. We're not in our 20s. I'm 30, Sutton's 28. We're adults with careers and resources. Give us a chance to make this work, I said.
No.
We're moving forward with the legal challenge. This meeting is over, Robert said, standing up. The others followed his lead. They walked out, leaving Sutton and me sitting at the conference table. Well, that went badly, Sutton said. Worse than I expected, I admitted. So what now? She asked. Now we find $1.875 million somehow, I said. Oh, is that all? Let me just check my couch cushions, she said sarcastically. Despite the situation, I smiled. We'll figure it out. Your optimism is adorable and completely unfounded, she said. Maybe, but giving up isn't an option, I said. Over the next month, we tried everything. Applied for loans, denied for insufficient collateral. Pitched investors, no one wanted to invest in a property with a contested title. Looked into crowdfunding, the legal issues made it too complicated. Every door closed. Every option eliminated. We were running out of time and ideas. Then one evening, as we sat on the porch of the beach house, we'd been spending weekends there despite the legal uncertainty. Sutton said something that changed everything. What if we got married? I choked on my beer. What? Married. Legally married. As business partners, not whatever you're thinking, she clarified quickly. Why would we do that? I asked. Because married couples can jointly own property in ways that business partners can't. We could claim the property as a marital asset. And if we contest the will as a married couple who are rightful heirs from both sides of the family, we have a stronger legal standing, she explained. You want to commit marriage fraud to keep a house? I asked. It's not fraud if we actually get married, and we wouldn't be doing it just for the house. We'd be honoring Evelyn and Theodore's wishes, bringing the family together. That's what they wanted, she said. That's insane, I said. So was thinking we could co-own this place. So was thinking we could raise millions to buy out the relatives. We're already doing insane things. Why not this? She challenged. Because marriage is serious. It's a legal contract that affects everything. Taxes, property rights, medical decisions. We can't just do it as a business strategy, I said. Why not? People get married for lots of reasons. Love isn't the only one. Historically, most marriages were business arrangements. We'd just be going back to that tradition, she said. And when we eventually want to get divorced, when we meet people we actually want to marry, then what? I asked. Then we divorce. Amicably. We draw up a prenup that protects both of us. Make it clean and simple, she said. I looked at her, trying to figure out if she was serious. She was completely serious. You've really thought this through, I said. I've thought about little else for the past week. Hollis, this could work. It solves the legal issues. It gives us leverage in court. It might be the only way to save this house, she said. And if it doesn't work? If we get married and still lose the house? I asked. Then at least we tried everything. We'll have no regrets, she said. I looked out at the bay, at the house that had brought us together, at the legacy Evelyn and Theodore had left us. This is the craziest thing anyone has ever suggested to me, I said. Is that a yes? She asked. Let me think about it. Give me a few days, I said. Okay. But Hollis, I think this is meant to be. Not the marriage necessarily, but us. Working together. Saving this place. I think Evelyn and Theodore knew exactly what they were doing when they left it to both of us, she said. I thought about it for 3 days. Talked to a lawyer about the legality of it all. Weighed the risks against the potential rewards. Finally, I called Sutton. Okay, I said. Okay? She repeated. Let's get married. For the house. For Evelyn and Theodore. For whatever insane reason we're doing this. Let's do it, I said. Really? You're sure? She asked. I'm sure. But we do this right. Prenup, clear terms, everything documented. This is a business partnership with marriage benefits, not a real marriage, I said. Agreed. Business partnership. Nothing more, she said. When do you want to do this? I asked. As soon as possible. Before I lose my nerve, she said. We got married 3 weeks later at City Hall in Manhattan. Just us, 2 witnesses we pulled off the street, and a judge who probably thought we were crazy. I now pronounce you legally married, the judge said. We signed the papers, shook hands awkwardly. Well, that's done, Sutton said. Yep, we're married. Congratulations to us, I said. Should we kiss? For authenticity? She asked. The judge already left. I think we're good, I said. We walked out of City Hall as a married couple with absolutely no romantic involvement. It was the strangest day of my life, but it was about to get even stranger, because getting married solved some problems but created a whole new set of complications. Starting with the fact that we were now legally bound to each other in ways neither of us had fully thought through, and ending with the realization that I might be developing actual feelings for my fake wife. Being married to Sutton was both easier and harder than I expected. Easier because we'd already been living together on weekends, already knew each other's habits, already functioned well as a team. Harder because now there were expectations. Not from us, we'd been very clear this was a business arrangement. But from everyone else. When's the honeymoon? Sutton's friend asked when we announced the marriage. We're too busy with the house, Sutton said. Where are you living? His place or yours? My colleague asked. Both. We're maintaining separate residences during the week and spending weekends at the beach house, I explained. People looked at us like we were insane. A married couple living apart most of the time, treating their marriage like a business partnership, making spreadsheets about property management instead of picking out china patterns. But it worked for us. Or at least it worked for the first few months. The legal situation improved dramatically once we could present ourselves as a married couple with claims to the inheritance from both sides of the family. The judge assigned to the case suggested mediation. A married couple has stronger property rights than individual heirs. And since you represent both the Whitmore branches, Evelyn's and Theodore's, you have a unique claim. I'm recommending mediation to see if we can resolve this without a lengthy trial, the judge explained. The mediation was tense. Robert and Patricia and the others were furious that we'd gotten married. This is clearly a scheme to circumvent the legal process, Robert's lawyer argued. It's a legal marriage between 2 people who care about preserving family property. There's nothing illegal about it, our lawyer countered. After 6 hours of negotiation, we reached a settlement. We would pay each of the 5 contesting relatives $200,000, significantly less than the $375,000 I'd originally offered, but still a substantial sum. In exchange, they'd drop all claims to the property. $1 million. Where are we getting $1 million? Sutton asked after the mediation. We're getting a loan. Against the property. Once the title is clear, we can use the house as collateral, I said. That's a huge loan. We'll be in debt for years, she said. We'll make it work. The rental income from the summer season should cover most of the mortgage payments, I said. Should. That's a lot of faith in a business plan that hasn't been tested yet, she pointed out. Do you have a better idea? I asked. No. Which is why I'm agreeing to this. But Hollis, if this doesn't work, if we can't make enough rental income to cover the mortgage, we could lose everything. The house, our savings, our credit, she said. I know, but we're already in this deep. Might as well go all the way, I said. We signed the settlement papers 2 weeks later. The $1 million payment would be due in 90 days, which gave us 3 months to secure financing, finalize the property title, and start generating income from rentals. No pressure, Sutton said as we left the lawyer's office. None at all, I agreed. We threw ourselves into the work. I took a leave of absence from my job in Denver, basically quit but keeping it open-ended in case everything fell apart. Moved to New York full-time. Rented a studio apartment in Brooklyn that was barely bigger than a closet. Sutton gave up her apartment and moved into the beach house full-time. She'd work remotely during the week, managing her consulting projects from Montauk. We spent every spare moment working on the house, hiring contractors for the major repairs, doing the minor work ourselves, painting, cleaning, updating furniture, taking photos for the rental listings. "This place looks completely different," Sutton said one evening. We'd been working for 6 weeks straight, and the transformation was remarkable. New roof, fixed dock, fresh paint throughout, updated bathrooms and kitchen. "It looks like a house again, instead of a memory," I said. "A memory we're preserving." "Evelyn and Theodore would be happy," she said. We launched the rental listing on a Friday in early May. By Monday, we had 12 inquiries. By the end of the week, we'd booked the entire summer season. "We did it," Sutton said, staring at the booking calendar. "Every weekend from Memorial Day through Labor Day. Fully booked. At our rates, that's a lot of money," I said, doing the quick math. "Enough to cover the mortgage, property taxes, maintenance, and have some profit left over," she said. "We're actually going to make this work," I said. She turned to me with the biggest smile I'd seen on her face. "We are. Holy shit, we're actually doing this." Without thinking, I hugged her. She hugged me back, both of us laughing with relief and excitement. "We should celebrate," I said. "Definitely. But not at the beach house. We need to be out before the first renters arrive tomorrow," she said. "Right? Where are we going to stay during rental weekends?" I asked. "I haven't figured that out yet. I was thinking we could alternate. I'll stay at your Brooklyn studio some weekends. You can crash at my friend's place in the city other weekends," she suggested. "Or we could just share the studio. It's small, but it has a pull-out couch. We're married. People wouldn't think it's weird," I said. "Are you sure? You've been very clear about maintaining boundaries," she said. "I know, but it's practical. And we've been living together on weekends for months." "What's the difference?" I asked. "The difference is we were living in a 6-bedroom house. Now we'd be sharing a studio apartment. That's a lot more intimate," she said. She wasn't wrong. But I found I didn't mind the idea as much as I should have. "Let's try it. If it's too weird, we'll figure something else out," I said. So Sutton moved into my tiny Brooklyn studio. We set up a curtain to divide the space, her side with the bed, my side with the pull-out couch. It was cramped and awkward and required constant negotiation about everything from shower schedules to who got the desk for work calls. It should have been a disaster. Instead, it was nice. We fell into a rhythm. Morning coffee together before she went to the bedroom for her video calls, and I headed out for meetings with contractors and rental management companies. Evenings we'd cook dinner together, compare notes about our days, plan the next week's tasks. "This is very domestic for a fake marriage," she observed one evening. We were making pasta together in the tiny kitchen, moving around each other with practiced ease. "Is it weird that I don't find it weird anymore?" I asked. "A little, but also no. We've spent so much time together over the past 6 months. It's like we're actually married," she said. "Except we're not." "Not really," I said. "Right? Not really," she agreed. But something in the way she said it made me wonder if she was starting to feel what I was feeling, that the line between fake marriage and real relationship was getting increasingly blurry. The summer season was intense. Managing renters, dealing with maintenance issues, coordinating cleaning crews, handling complaints about neighbors or parking or beach access. Sutton and I worked as a seamless team, dividing responsibilities, communicating constantly, solving problems together. "We're good at this," she said one evening in late July. We were reviewing the month's finances and they looked better than projected. "We are. Maybe we should start a property management company. Make this our full-time thing," I suggested. "You'd give up renewable energy consulting?" she asked. "For this? Yeah. I like what we're building here. It feels meaningful in a way my old work didn't," I admitted. "I feel the same way. My consulting projects are fine, but this, saving the beach house, creating something together, it matters more," she said. We looked at each other across the tiny kitchen table, something unspoken passing between us. "Sutton, can I ask you something?" I said. "Always," she said. "Do you ever think about what happens when we don't need to be married anymore? When the legal stuff is resolved and the house is stable and we've achieved what we set out to do?" I asked. She was quiet for a long moment. "Honestly, no. because I can't imagine not being married to you anymore. Which is insane because this whole thing was supposed to be temporary. I can't imagine it either, I admitted. Somewhere along the way, this fake marriage started feeling real. So what do we do about that? She asked carefully. I don't know. Acknowledge it, talk about it, figure out if there's something here beyond the business partnership, I suggested. And if there is, what then? She asked. Then we stop calling it a fake marriage and start calling it a real one, I said. She smiled. That simple? Why does it have to be complicated? I asked. Because nothing about us has ever been simple. We inherited the same house from different relatives. We got married as a legal strategy. We're living in a studio apartment while running a rental property business. Simple doesn't seem to be our thing, she said. Good point. So let's stay complicated. But together. Really together, I said. Are you asking me to be your real wife after being your fake wife for 6 months? She asked. I guess I am. Is that insane? I asked. Completely. But I think I'm going to say yes anyway, she said. You think? I asked. I'm 95% sure, she said. What about the other 5%? I asked. The other 5% is terrified that this is just the stress and proximity and shared goals making us feel something that isn't real, she admitted. That's fair. How do we test it? Figure out if this is real or just circumstantial. I asked. We date. Properly. Go on actual dates. See if we like each other outside of house renovation and rental management, she suggested. We're married, but we need to date to see if we should stay married? I asked. Yes. Is that weird? She asked. Everything about us is weird. Why stop now? I said. So we started dating. While married. While living together. While running a business together. Our first date was dinner at a small Italian restaurant in Brooklyn. We'd eaten together hundreds of times. But this felt different. We dressed up. I brought her flowers. She wore makeup and did her hair. This is so strange, she said, laughing as we sat down. We're on a date. But we've been married for 6 months. Doing things backwards is kind of our brand, I said. We talked about things we'd never discussed before. Her childhood, my family drama, her dreams for the future, my regrets about the past. We stayed at the restaurant until they kicked us out at closing. Our second date was a Broadway show. We held hands during the performance. Kissed goodnight at our apartment door, which was absurd since we both lived there. But it felt right. Our third date was a weekend trip to the Berkshires. We stayed at a bed and breakfast, went hiking, visited small towns. Shared a room for the first time as an actual couple instead of roommates with a legal document. I really like you, she said on the drive back to New York. I really like you too, I said. So what now? Do we tell people we're actually together? That this isn't just a business arrangement anymore? She asked. We could. Or we could just live our lives and let people figure it out, I suggested. I like that better. No announcements. No big declarations. Just us being together, living our life, she said. Sounds perfect, I agreed. By the end of summer, we'd paid off the $1 million settlement to the relatives. The rental income had exceeded projections. We had a waiting list for next summer's bookings. And somewhere along the way, we'd fallen in love. I want to renew our vows, Sutton said one evening in late September. We were back at the beach house for the first time since the rental season ended. Walking along the beach at sunset. We've only been married 8 months. That's fast for a vow renewal, I pointed out. I know, but the first time we got married, it was a legal strategy. I want to marry you again. For real this time. Because I love you, not because of the house, she said. I love you too. And I'd marry you 100 times if you wanted, I said. Once more should do it, she said, smiling. We planned a small ceremony for November. Just a few close friends, no family. That was still too complicated. We wrote our own vows and got married on the beach in front of the house that had brought us together. I promised to always choose you, to work with you, not against you, to share the burden and the joy, to renovate houses and hearts, to make you coffee exactly how you like it, to never adjust the thermostat without asking first, I said. Everyone laughed at that last part. I promise to love you even when you leave cabinet doors open. to trust you with my dreams and my fears, to build a life and a business and a family with you, to never forget that we're a team, to honor what Evelyn and Theodore wanted, not just the house but family coming together, and to remind you every day that choosing you was the best decision I ever made," Sutton said. We kissed as the sun set over the bay, our friends cheered, and the house that had been left to us by two people who understood that family is about more than blood stood witness to the beginning of our real marriage. 5 years later, we were sitting on the porch of the beach house, watching our daughter play in the sand. She was 3, named Evelyn after my grandmother, with Sutton's dark hair and my smile. "Theodore would have loved her," Sutton said. "Evelyn would have too. They'd be proud of what we've built here," I said. "A rental business that's now managing 12 properties along the coast. A daughter, a real marriage, a life," she said. "All because we inherited the same beach house from different relatives," I said. "Best inheritance ever," she agreed. Our daughter ran up to the porch, sandy and happy. "Mama, Dad, look what I found." She held up a shell, showing us with the enthusiasm only a 3-year-old can muster. "That's beautiful, sweetheart," Sutton said. "Can we keep it?" "For the collection?" Evelyn asked. "Of course. Put it with the others," I said. She ran inside to add her shell to the collection we'd started years ago. Shells from every beach we'd visited, every property we'd managed, every memory we'd made. "I'm glad we fought for this place," Sutton said. "Me too. Even though it was insane. Even though we had no idea what we were doing. I'm glad we didn't give up," I said. "We make a good team," she said. "The best team," I agreed. I looked at the house, at the dock where I'd fished as a child, at the bay where Evelyn and Theodore had spent decades building memories. They'd given us more than property. They'd given us a second chance at family, a connection, at building something meaningful. And in trying to honor their legacy, we'd created our own. "I love you," I said to Sutton. "I love you too. Even though you still occasionally mess with the thermostat when you think I'm not looking," she said. "I have no idea what you're talking about," I said innocently. She laughed and kissed me, and our daughter came running back out, wanting us to come see the sandcastle she was building. We walked down to the beach together, a family built from an impossible inheritance, a fake marriage that became real, and two people who chose to fight for what mattered instead of taking the easy way out. The beach house stood behind us, solid and permanent, waiting for the next generation of memories to be made within its walls. Evelyn and Theodore had known exactly what they were doing when they left it to both of us. They'd given us a legacy, and we'd honored it in the best way possible by building a life worth living. If the story reminded you that sometimes the best things in life come from the most complicated situations, that family is about who shows up and stays, and that fighting for what matters can lead to unexpected love and happiness, then hit that subscribe button right now. Turn on notifications because I share stories like this every week. Stories about inheritance and legacy, about choosing love over convenience, and about building something real from impossible beginnings. Drop a comment and tell me, would you fight for a property with sentimental value or take the money? I want to hear your thoughts. Thanks for being here, and I'll see you in the next one.